playwright wrote The Night of the Iguana? Tennessee Williams.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Smart kid.
Entertainment is at the top of the consumer hierarchy. So the first thing new technologies get used for is always play and diversion and entertainment. And it will be no different this time.
And it's already happening. We can now play games online by personal computer against unseen opponents half a continent away. It's a sign of things to come.
Yes.
The kind of games that will get played in this new environment are not the lonely asteroid existence of one player all by themselves alone in a video game. It's going to be an electronic environment where multiple players can come together and play in a way that's a social experience.
John, you know this one. The Amazing Mr.
The Amazing Mr. Limpet, that's it. Yeah.
Dozens of quiz and parlor games have been adapted for the computer to be played online. But the games that promise to be the most popular and the most profitable will be interactive video games. Video game makers are in a race to get their games on the system. The two biggest, Sega and Nintendo, want to create cable channels to beam interactive versions of their popular arcade games into people's homes.
I think most of the major media companies and some of the technology companies are fairly certain that an addictive kind of medium is a good way to make a lot of money. And I think if you look at some of the applications that people are really focused on right now, whether it's home shopping, whether it's gambling, or whether it's game playing, multi-user game playing, all of those are fairly addictive activities. My sincere hope is that the informational quality and the educational quality and the community building aspect and potential of this technology isn't going to get overlooked in this mad rush for immediate return.
The technology is changing the face of the entertainment industry. In Las Vegas, video games are elbowing out the slot machines. Multi-million-dollar hotels like the Luxor are designed to attract the family business. Built around high-tech video games, they are the theme parks of the next century. These are called the Realies, the new virtual reality theme parks. Here, cyberspace flights projected on 20-meter high screens replace the tame riverboat rides of yesterday's Disneylands. Sega is planning to build up to 100 high-tech theme parks around the world. 15 of these will be in Canada. The video game industry is highly profitable, estimated at more than $10 billion worldwide. It's bigger than the movies and almost as big as the music industry. The new playthings of the video game industry include flight simulators, high-tech trainers once available only to the most advanced armed forces of powerful nations.
I basically think we're breeding a generation of fighter pilots. And, the hand-eye coordinations that they're learning from the video games that they're playing with now will be extremely useful as our graphic user interfaces evolve and as joysticks and point-and-click interfaces become something that more and more people are using on a daily basis.
The industry wants to expand from the arcade to the home, where families can play video games on cable channels. Sega and Nintendo now beam their games into Japanese homes by satellite. In Canada, Sega has applied to the CRTC for its own video game channel, a prospect that disturbs educators like Sandra Campbell.
Children have a very powerful capacity to move into the world of fantasy. This technology moves them into the world of fantasy for destruction, not for rehabilitation, not for positive social benefit, but for destruction. So they're being socialized into a belief system that says it's a very dangerous world out there. There are aliens. There are aliens who aren't like us, who are different. Those aliens will destroy you if you don't destroy them first.
Video games that have already proved popular in arcades and on cassette can bring huge profits when they become available on cable. Some of the most violent games are also among the most profitable.
Mortal Kombat was released in September 1993 with a $10 million advance marketing budget. And I know that by Christmas 1993, the sales were 150 million US of Mortal Kombat. Now, they targeted that game at boys 8 to 12. Because the game is interactive, it is more powerful as a socializer of children. It invites them into the world of the scripted game. It invites them to imitate the behavior of the protagonist. And if the behavior is ultraviolence or violence, the child is rewarded. The protagonists use only violence as a solution to problems. They never use language, they never use dialogue, they never use their intellect to solve problems in non-violent ways. They resort to usually a technology to blow up the problem.
No form of entertainment today is complete without a heavy dose of virtual reality.
Pretty soon you'll be playing games like this. Tick, 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 tick. Whoa, I'm getting sick.
The movie makers who sell their fantasies on the big silver screen are turning to computer scientists to help them create virtual worlds they could only imagine before the computer came along. Some of these worlds exist only in the helmets and visors of the wearer.
Look up, look up, look up! Look behind you, look behind you! Turn around! Look behind you again, look behind you!
How deeply are we sinking into virtual reality?
I'm an optimist about virtual reality. I think that it will provide us a distant mirror on everyday reality and lead us to treasure actual reality that much more, because no matter how good you can do something in a computer, it's still an impoverished world compared to the real world. There will, without doubt, be people who will bury themselves in virtual reality and have a case of reality jitters, but that's not new. I mean, that's the novel Madame Bovary, the woman who got in trouble because she read too many romance novels. Well, we'll have the cyberspace equivalents of the Madame Bovary in the next few decades.
What will that cyber world of the next few decades be like? We are already beginning to see some of its effects.
The big impact, I believe, has to do with the people who choose to master the technology will be more capable of their own direction and decisions. They will have more information, have ability to empower themselves, and to do the model of the independent, intelligent citizen. And that alone is an enormous change. Again, 100 years ago, in fact, 300 years ago, no one thought that it was okay for people to read the Bible, right? And that, of course, changed religion and so forth. This new empowerment is quite fundamental, and it's a very big society change.
before we deploy these things out on the masses and wreak havoc, perhaps, we can actually catch some of the problems and also recognize some of the sweet spots where we can really do wonderful things. I mean, I'm just as pessimistic about these things as the next person, but I try and balance that with an optimism. It's what I call skepticism. It's half skeptic and half optimist. And if you go into it with this balanced perspective, we can say we can shape these things. What's clear? Technology is not good, technology is not bad, but it sure as heck isn't neutral. And it's only by conscious action and by design that we will make it one or the other. And be sure, if we do nothing, it will be bad. It is only by proactive action that it will be good. And now the question is, so what are you going to do about it?
All new technologies create change. The computer is no exception. But the changes it has brought about have occurred in a much shorter time than with most previous technology. Are we going to be able to shape this new world? Or is the technology evolving so fast that it's already heading us into directions we can't control?